Welcome to day number 18 for B90X, and we have the text today is Judges 3 through Judges 15, and it's actually the end of Judges 3. And this is kind of a good place to come in or have a break naturally, because what happens is in the book of Judges, the first couple of chapters kind of explain the failure of Israel, and starting in chapter 3, going all the way through 15, is talking about the judges, what they were, who they were, and how they delivered Israel from their sin. Now, basically, judges were leaders that God raised up after Joshua, and they didn't have any power like Moses did. They didn't have any, they weren't kings, I guess I should say. They were spirit-appointed military leaders who took action for Israel on their behalf. And what they did was basically helped Israel, because what from throughout the entire book you're going to see that Israel would be very, very good. They would be following God's laws. They would have peace, and then they would start to drop off, and they would begin to fall into sin. They would begin to disobey God, and what would happen is God would bring up one of these leaders through just by filling them with His Spirit, and they would come up and begin to help Israel out of their troubles, help them, deliver them from their enemies, because people would begin to attack the nation of Israel when they were in their slumps of their sin. And each one of these, as you read through it, we'll see, you know, Deborah and Barak. There's a story in there with those two as the judges. Gideon, which is a really popular one, and then the last one, there's a few more in there. I believe there's 12 in all, men and women, but the last one is Samson, and we end with the story of Samson. And I encourage you really to read that with some real open ears and open eyes, because it's a very powerful story about Samson. But really, the entire book of Judges is laid out there for us to see. Just as Shane said yesterday in the Devo, God, His mercy and His patience shines through the entire book. He delivers His people over and over and over and over, and He holds true to His promises. But He also holds true to His wrath when they disobey Him, and they deserve to be punished, and they deserve things that they get. But He's also very faithful in His promises to deliver them, and that's what the judges were there for. That's what they came up for, and I just encourage you to remember that, to look at each failure of Israel as a failure in your own life, but how God can deliver you from your sin, and His grace is more than we will ever need for forgiveness.